Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're doing well. Welcome to another video and welcome to a try a chapter chat. I have never done one of these, but I have been very interested and really intrigued to do one for quite some time. I just didn't quite know how I wanted to do it or which books I wanted to include, but today I have 6 books here that have been on my shelves for a little while that I have had some interest in, but don't really know if I'm going to read them anytime soon, and maybe this will help me kind of narrow down the things that are on my list and save some space for books that I actually want to read. So I have a list of 6 books here. I will talk over the synopsis when I get there, and then we'll go ahead and read a chapter of each, see how I feel about them, see if they are gripping me from chapter 1 and whether or not I want to keep them. But let's go ahead and get into them. A lot of these are a little bit more romancy, some are a bit more contemporary, but they all are kind of in the same vein, and then I have like one that might be a mystery thriller-y type of book, so we'll see. I think the first one that I'm going to start with is actually The Long Road Home by Danielle Steele. This actually doesn't have a synopsis on the back, so I can't really share that with you, but I recently had read Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty, and I had learned that I really liked but I was very intrigued by stories that had domestic abuse in it, and not in a plot point where I like to read about that, but I like to see how authors handle it. And hello, Bailey. As someone that has experienced like somebody go through that, I not myself, but I have seen somebody go through that. It's really interesting to me to see kind of the topic behind it and hear people talk about domestic abuse and the mental and physical and emotional toll that it takes on a human being. And so this book was recommended for and a book that has those types of themes in it. So I figured that I would go ahead and give it a try. My dad was a huge Danielle Steele fan. I've never really read any of her books in full. I have read like probably 100 pages of one of her books, but never quite got to the end of it. So I figured that I would put this on here, see if I like the storyline so far, and see if I want to keep it, if it makes sense to keep this on my shelf. So there's this one. And then we have The 2-Date Rule by Tanya Fensky. This says, Willa Frank has one simple rule: never go on a date with anyone more than twice. With her business finally providing the stability that she always needed, she can't afford distractions. Her 2-date rule will protect her from just fine until she meets smoke jumper Grady Billman. After one amazing, unforgettable date, Grady isn't ready to call it quits. Despite his own non-attachment policy, he's found a sneaky way around both of their rules. Throwing gutter balls with pitchers of beer, everyone knows bowling doesn't count. Watching a band play at the local show, they just happen to have the same taste in music. Definitely not a date. Hiking? Nope. Exercise is definitely not a date. With every non-date Grady suggests, Willa must admit that she's having fun playing along. But when their time together costs Willa 2 crucial clients, it's clear she needs to focus on one thing that really matters: her future. But what is she supposed to do with a future that looks gray without Grady in it? So this is supposed to be like just a really cute romance. I don't know if it's smutty or not, but I saw the cover, I thought it was cute, so I picked that one up, but we'll see if I want to keep that one. The next one is one that I've had on my shelf for a little while, and I've actually been afraid to pick it up because I'm not into historical books, and this is historical romance, but I've heard really good things, so I want to give it a try, and that is Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. I don't really know the synopsis of this. It says, daring Oxford rebel takes on a powerful duke in a love story that will threaten to upend the British social order. England, 1879. Brilliant but destitute Annabel Archer is one of the first female students at Oxford University. Her scholarship demands that she recruit men of influence to champion the rising women's suffrage movement. Her target, the cold and calculated Duke of Montgomery, commander of the British policies. But Montgomery won't be the kingdom's greatest strategist if he couldn't turn the tables and confront Annabel with an altogether different one. Locked in a battle with rising passion and impossible attraction, Annabel will learn just what it takes to topple a duke. That sounds like it's going to be very cute and very good, but having it set in the 1800s in England is not really something that pulls me in, so I want to see if this is one that I am going to get sucked into. I've heard good things, but we shall see. And then we have an arc here, and this is A Spark of Light by Jodi Picoult. I don't remember what this one is, but I'm pretty sure it's a hard-hitting book. I believe it's actually about a school shooting. So this says, the warm fall day starts like any other. At the center, a reproductive health service clinic. It's a staff offering care to anyone who passes through its doors. Then a desperate and distraught gunman bursts in and open fires, taking hostages. After rushing to the scene, Hugh McEllery, a police hostage negotiator, begins making plans to communicate with the gunman. To his horror, he learns that his 15-year-old daughter, Wren, is inside. She will share the next and tensest few hours in her young life with the cast of unforgettable characters trapped alongside her in the clinic, including the disturbed individual himself. Told in a daring and enthralling narrative structure that counts backwards the hours of the standoff, the story traces what brought each of the very different individuals to the same place on this fateful day. How do we balance the rights of pregnant women with the rights of the unborn they carry? What does it mean to be a good parent? A spark of light will inspire debate, conversation, and hopefully understanding. This sounds amazing. I don't think I ever read the synopsis of this. This sounds like it's going to be very good, and I'm hoping that this will be one that I am compelled to keep because that sounds amazing. Up next, we have Luster by Raven Leilani. Leilani, that's right, okay. And I picked this one up on a whim. Sharon actually donated this one to the store. She wasn't going to read it, and so I figured that maybe I would give it a try. This one says, no one wants what no one wants. And how do we know what we want? How do we know we're ready to take it? Eddie is stumbling through her 20s, sharing a subpar apartment in Bushwick, clocking in and out of her admin job, making series of inappropriate sexual choices. She's also hauntingly, fitfully given heat and air to the art that simmers inside of her. And then she meets Eric, a digital archivist with a family in New Jersey, including an autopist wife who has agreed to an open marriage with rules. As if navigating the constantly shifting landscape of contemporary sexual manners and racial politics weren't hard enough, Eddie finds herself unemployed and invited into Eric's home, though not by Eric. She becomes a hesitant ally to his wife and a de facto role model to his adopted daughter. Eddie may be the only black woman young Akila knows. Irresistibly unruly and strikingly beautiful, razor sharp and sly, comic, sexually charged, and utterly absorbing. That's a really long sentence. Raven Leilani's Luster is a portrait of a young woman trying to make sense of her life, her hunger, her anger in a tumultuous era. It is also a hauntingly aching description of how hard it is to believe in your own talent and of the unexpected influences that bring us into ourselves. This sounds like it's going to be a weird book, but one that I'm intrigued by. It is short, so we'll see about that one, but I'm nervous about that one for sure. And then the last one that we have here is Truly Madly Guilty by Leanne Moriarty. Like I said, I did read Big Little Lies by this author, and I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to pick up another one of her books. And this says, 6 responsible adults, 3 cute kids, 1 small dog. It's just a normal weekend. What could possibly go wrong? Sam and Clementine have a wonderful, albeit busy life. They have 2 little girls. Sam has just started a new dream job, and Clementine, a cellist, is busy preparing for an audition of a lifetime. If there's anything they can count on, it's each other. Clementine and Erica have been friends since they were little. A single look between them can convey an entire conversation. But theirs is a complicated relationship. So when Erica mentions a last-minute invitation to a barbecue with her neighbors, Tiffany and Vid, Clementine and Sam don't hesitate. Having Tiffany and Vid's larger-than-life personality, there will be a welcome respite. 2 months later, it won't stop raining, and Clementine and Sam can't stop asking themselves, what if we hadn't gone? In Truly Madly Guilty, Leanne Moriarty takes on the foundations of our lives, marriage, sex, parenthood, and friendship. She shows how guilt can expose the fault lines in the most seemingly strong relationships, and how what we don't say can be more powerful than what we do, and how too often we don't appreciate how extraordinary our ordinary lives are until it's too late. So that just sounds like it's going to be a wild ride, to say the least. So these are the 6 books that I'm going to try a chapter of. I don't know which one I'm going to start with first, but I think that I'll bring you along the journey. I will read 1 paragraph out loud to you guys if I can even freaking muster that, because you guys know that I am not good at reading out loud. I will take you along for 1 paragraph of each book, and then I will read a full chapter on my own and come back with my thoughts and let you guys know if I'm going to decide to keep these or not. So let's figure out which one I'm going to start with first, and I will get right back to you. Okay, so the one I'm going to start with is Bring Down the Duke. This has the least amount of pages. I'm going to work my way down. Spark of Light has, its first chapter is 44 pages. That's a long-ass chapter, so we're going to have to push through that one. But I figured I would start with this one, so I'm going to go ahead and read the first paragraph to you guys, and then I will go on my own and read these ones and get right back to you guys. So this says, Chapter 1, Kent, August 1878. Absolutely not. What an utterly harebrained idea, Annabelle. Gilbert's eyes had the rolling look of a hare that knew the hounds were upon him. Okay, so that's how we're starting. I have no idea what that even means, but I will read the next 6 pages and see how I feel.
Here we go again. Trying hard, but you wanna be my friend. Ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to.
Okay, so I ended up having to change angles because Bailey decided that she absolutely had to lay in my lap. So, there's that. But I did read the first 6 pages of Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. Now, I am not opposed to reading this book. The writing style is a bit funky, and it is very 1800s-esque. It is very proper, and there are some words in here that I'm like, why would we use that? But then there's also a lot of talk about what women's role is in society and her place and how men talk about women, and that is always just so frustrating to me. I know that a lot of the times historical romances are supposed to be super feminist, and they really push the envelope when it comes to what women are allowed and should be allowed to do freely in this time. And I know that it is pushed a lot, especially with historical romances that are written in today's age. But the process of getting there is always just so frustrating for me, and I hate seeing these women put in a box and taught to be small in order to make it through their lives. And I just particularly don't like reading about that. And so this already has huge themes of that in the first 6 pages, and that's a wee bit frustrating for me. But other than that, I think that this has a really interesting premise. This girl, I already forgot her name, sweet Jesus, Annabelle, is a maid for her cousin's property, and she got a scholarship to go to Oxford with the women's suffrage movement to help women earn the right to vote. And he doesn't know that, but she has finally convinced him to let her go to Oxford, and that is the first chapter. Literally, that's all it is her just trying to convince him why she should go, and he's giving her all of these reasons why she shouldn't, including the fact that she can't get into any scandal with men because that would make her improper, and he would have to disown her just by speaking to a man or getting into any type of relationship with a man. And it's just like, not my favorite. I don't know if I'm going to keep this one yet. I'm going to put this on the maybe pile. I just don't know if this book is going to be for me, but if you guys down in the comments have read this and you guys want to, give me your thoughts, and if you really think that I need to read this one, let me know, and I will keep it on my TBR, but we'll go ahead and put this in the maybe pile for now. And then up next, I'm going to read Truly Madly Guilty by Leanne Moriarty. I think this one's like 8 pages, so we'll see about this one. This honestly reminds me of, not The Daughter, but The Playground by Jane Schmelt or whatever her name is, and I did not like the writing style and the tone of that book, so I'm really hoping that this one doesn't give me those vibes. So we'll see. I'm gonna read the first 8 pages, and I'll be right back to you.
Here we go again. Call my bluff, I'ma be here till the end. I'm the one you ride to. If you don't wanna change, ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to.
Okay, so I finished the first 8 pages of Truly Madly Guilty, and this is interesting. So I read one of her other books previously, and I can't really remember how the writing style was because I was listening to it via audiobook, but I did find the storytelling quite gripping. For these first 8 pages, it was a lot of very descriptive, overly descriptive details about this one person, and it's also kind of confusing because you are getting whatever happened in the past in little snippets based off of somebody else's experience of what seems to be a traumatic day. But you're also hearing a speech from I believe the mother, Clementine, of what happened on this, what they're calling an ordinary day. But it seems like they both have some very distinct differences about how the day went and what actually happened. But you find out at the end of the chapter that the character that you're hearing from, I don't think you actually maybe get her name, I'm not sure, she doesn't actually remember what happened on this day. She knows that she called out for Clementine with fear in her voice, but after that everything goes blank and she doesn't really remember the details of what happened. And so this is only the first 6 pages. You don't really know exactly what is going on or where this is leading, but I'm assuming that something bad is going to happen, and it's kind of like Big Little Lies. Was that the one I read? Big Little Lies, where it's told backwards, where you're kind of getting little snippets of what happened, but also learning about it in weird, interesting ways. And so I'm intrigued by this one, but also the writing style in this one kind of put me off because it was very overly descriptive and very wordy and kind of hard for me to keep my concentration on it. But I'm also intrigued to know like what exactly happened and what went down. So I think I might keep this one and give it another go, read some more into it and see how it goes. I will also put this one on the maybe pile. I'm leaning towards yes, but I have to like reevaluate once I get to the end. All right, up next we're going to read the 2-date rule. I don't remember how many pages this first chapter was. It was 12 pages, so I'm gonna read the first 12 pages now, see how I like it. Romance is pretty easy for me to get into, so we'll definitely see about this one. I am quite interested to see how I feel about this one. So let me go ahead and get into this one. Okay, wow. This super freaking cute. The first chapter follows Willa, and she is very dedicated to her job, to her work. She loves her job and is constantly thinking about it, but she promised her friends that she would go out to celebrate one of her friends' 30th birthday? A birthday, and they're at a strip club, and she spots a guy that is what seems to be dressed up as a firefighting stripper, but it turns out to be the main character, Graham. I think his name is Graham. Oh shit, I already forgot. Grady, not Graham. Grady, and he is just coming from a job where he just fought a forest fire, but he was coming to the bar to pick something up from the manager, and she thinks that he's a stripper, and she's like trying to bribe him into taking her and her best friends into an employee bathroom because they've been standing in line for forever trying to get into the ladies' bathroom, and she's like, I'll give you $30 if you could just get us into a bathroom. And he was like, well, how about a date? And so he propositions her for a date, and it's just like their banter so far is really cute. Her like figuring out that he's not a stripper and that he's actually a musician, as well as it's called a fire jumper or a smoke jumper, where they jump out of planes and go put out forest fires. And it is already so sweet. I love their banter. Their chemistry is already there. It's so freaking cute. And I like the main character already. She's a strong, independent woman that really like focuses on her work, and it's so far really cute. Those 12 pages had me gripped. I will definitely be reading this soon because I can see myself getting sucked into the story and loving their chemistry. So this is the first one going into the definite yes pile. I want to keep that one. It is so cute. So up next, I'm going to read Lester by Raven Leilani. I don't remember how many pages this one is, but my husband is coming home soon as well. So I am hoping to get this one done before he gets home. I just had a brain fart. I also just realized that I forgot to read you guys the first couple of paragraphs in here. I will, you know what, I'll do that in the next one. I totally forgot. So this is 17 or 18 pages for this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and read the first chapter. I just like kind of glanced at it and I'm terrified. This says, the first time we had sex, we were both fully clothed, at our desk during work hours, bathed in the blue computer light. He is uptown processing a new bundle of microfinch, and I am downtown handling corrections for a new labor detective manuscript. He tells me what he ate for lunch and asks if I can manage to take off my underwear in my cubicle without anyone noticing. His messages come with impeccable punctuation. He is fond of words like taste and spread. The empty text field is full of possibilities. Of course, I worry about IT, remoting into my computer, or my internet history, warranting yet another disciplinary meeting with HR. But the risk, the thrill of a third pair of unseeing eyes, the idea that someone in this office with sweet post-lunch break optimism might come across and thread and see how tenderly Eric and I have built this private world. Excuse me? What is happening? Okay, well, I'm in for a wild ride. I will let you guys know how I feel when I get to the end of the chapter. I'm terrified. I have thoughts. First of all, the open marriage was pretty out in the open in regards to this person's information, but also she just called him daddy. I hate it so much. And then she just says some things like, I'm not on the L smelling someone's lukewarm pickles, wishing I were dead. What does that even mean? Hello? She just used the word canoodling? Who the fuck uses the word canoodling? Like, this is gonna be a long 18 pages. Actually confused. Okay, thanks. I'm just gonna read this for you. This is an age gap romance by several years. And this says, the age discrepancy doesn't bother me, beyond the fact of older men having more stable finances and a different understanding of the clitoris. It's been one page since the last time I talked to you, and this is what we're experiencing. Send help. Thank you. I'm making an executive decision that this book is not for me. I cannot get into the writing style. I made it 10 pages in, and this writing style, the breakdown of paragraphs, the pages, the crude everything, it's just too weird for me, and it's not going to be a book that I think that I'm going to enjoy. So this is one that I will definitely be unhauling. I am sorry to say that. I wish that I could have liked it, because I think the idea of reading a book about an open marriage with the ability to talk a little bit more in depth about Black lives and taboo relationships is really a great thing, but I don't think this is the one for me. So if you guys have read any more books about taboo relationships like this, let me know. I would be more than interested to check those out, but I don't think that this book is the one for me to try that out with. So that is unfortunate, but it is what it is. This is the first one going in my 100% no pile, which is sad. I really wasn't expecting that from this video, but it is what it is. I still have 2 more books that I need to get into. My husband is going to be home soon, so I will pick this up in a little bit, read the last 2, and give you guys my final thoughts. Okay, I moved into my bedroom for the last 2. I wanted to lay down and read, and I didn't want to do it in the living room, so I moved into the bedroom. I'm going to go ahead and pick up The Long Road Home by Danielle Steele. Let's see what the first paragraph sounds like. Bailey's over here having a good old time as well. A clock ticked loudly in the hall as Gabrielle Harrison stood silently in the utter darkness of the closet. It was filled with her winter coats, and they scratched her face. As she pressed her thin 6-year-old frame as far back as she could, deep among them, she stumbled over a pair of her mother's winter boots as she moved farther back into the closet. She knew that here no one would find her. She had hidden here before. It had always been a good hiding place for her, a place they never thought to look, especially now, in the heat of New York summer. Yeah, this sounds like it's going to be a bit hard-hitting. Also, this smells like a Danielle Steele book. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say here, but it smells exactly like my grandma's old Danielle Steele books used to smell, and it's very nostalgic for me, but also, like, I want to vomit and sneeze all at the same time. Anyways, excuse me, motorcycle man. Please, trying to film a video here. I'm gonna sit down, read some of this. The first chapter was like, 20 pages, and I'll get back to you with my thoughts.
Time is up and I'm calling up my friends. Ain't no wonder why, ain't no wonder why too. Here we go again.
Okay, so I read the first 20 pages of Long Road Home, and this book is very, very, very dark. Huge trigger warnings for child abuse, so go into that with some caution if you guys are at all interested in this book. I thought this was more domestic abuse, and it turns out this is child abuse, so I was not prepared for the severity and the darkness of the story. It is told very interestingly. It's told from all 3 perspectives, the mom, the dad, and the daughter so far, and it's really interesting, but I don't know if this is going to be the book for me. It's just a little bit more than I was looking for. Not that domestic abuse is not terrible and dark as well. I didn't sign up for child abuse. I think that's a bit of a different type of reading that I was ready to experience. So I think I'm going to think about this one a little bit more, put it on my maybe pile. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with it yet, but there's that one. And then I'm going to sit down and read the first chapter, 44 pages of A Spark of Light, and this will be the last book for this little try or chapter tag, but I'll read you guys the first paragraph, and it says, 5 p.m., the center squatted on the corner of Juniper and Montford, behind a wrought iron gate, like an old bulldog used to guarding its territory. At one point, there had been many like it in Mississippi, nondescript and unassuming buildings which services were provided and needs were met. Then came the restrictions that were designed to make these places go away. The halls had to be wide enough to accommodate 2 passing gurneys. Any clinics that weren't the case had to shut down or spend thousands on renovations. The doctors had to admit privileges to local hospitals, even though most were from out of state and couldn't secure them, or the clinics where they practiced risked closing too. One by one, the clinics shuttered and their windows were boarded up and the doors. Now the center was a unicorn, a small rectangle of a structure painted with fluorescent, flagrant orange like a flag to those who traveled hundreds of miles to find it. It was the color of safety, the color of warning. It said, "I'm here if you need me." It says, "Do what you want to me. I'm not going." So that is the first paragraph. I will go ahead and read the rest of this chapter, and I will check in with you guys at the end.
Call me up and you wanna be my friend. I'm the one you ride, I'm the one you ride to. If you don't wanna change, ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. If you don't wanna change, I can help you out. I can help you out. I can help you out.
Okay, wow, I just finished the 44 pages of the first chapter of this book, and holy moly, this is wild. It is very interesting, and it's kind of a slower read, even though what we're talking about is a very intense situation. So as I read from the synopsis, this follows a shooting that happens in a abortion clinic. It's just really a clinic, but a lot of the stuff that happens there are abortions. So a lot of commentary on pro-life versus pro-choice, and the hardcore beliefs behind that. But also you are dealing with a very intense situation that has to do with hostages and a shooting, an active shooter. But you are reading this book backwards. You start at hour 5, where this is the end of this hostage situation, and you are reading it from the perspective of every single person that has gone through the experience of this horrific event. And so you get the perspective of every single hostage, as well as the daughter and the hostage negotiator, as well as the shooter and the shooter's daughter. So you get a ton of perspectives in here. It's a little bit confusing to wrap your head around, just trying to understand all of the perspectives and what each person does and how each person plays a role in the actual storyline. But the last page before you enter into hour 4, you have this huge, big event that happens, and it's a big cliffhanger. And I believe that you don't find out like the aftermath of hour 5 until you get to the end, and you're now at hour 1, and you figure out like how this started, and then I think you're going to come back and figure out how it ends. So you're left like wondering and guessing what is happening the entire time. This is definitely gripping, and it was page turning. I was very intrigued to see like the perspectives of all of these people and how they were coping with what exactly was happening to them. This is a definite keep for me. I was so thoroughly surprised by this. And as you guys know, I don't read a ton of books physically anymore because I love to listen to them via audiobook. That's my favorite form of consuming media, and consuming books is via audiobook and then reading along. But reading these ones physically was like really fun to test myself and push myself to read books, especially like this. I tend to read these on audiobook because they are usually a little bit more complex than I would like when it comes to like literary fiction, but this was so good and so much fun to read. So I'm really happy that I started this project. I will go over the rest of the books and talk about them, and we'll go from there. So I have now 2 books in my for sure yes I'm keeping pile, the 2-Date Rule and A Spark of Light by J.D. Colt. I am really excited about both of them. Very different stories for sure, but definitely ones I will keep and continue to have on my shelves. And then I have a for sure no, and that is going to be Luster by Raven Leilani. I just think this is not the book for me. I don't like the writing style. I didn't care for the wording. I don't think this is going to be a book for me. I am not opposed to taboo romances in the slightest. I just don't think this is the one that I need to read in regards to taboo romance. So again, like I said, if you guys have any recommendations for books that have taboo romances, age gap romances, open relationship romances, I would love to be able to read up on those ones, but this one isn't the one for me. So that one will be Unhauled. And then I have 3 in the maybe I'm not sure how I feel about these books pile. I don't really know what I want to do with them. I do own the second book in this series, so if I unhaul this, this is 2 books that I can free up on my shelves. But I've heard such good things about this, so I think that I might hold off and see if you guys give me any feedback or comments on this book and tell me if it's worth it to read it, if you think that I like it, based off of my taste. Please keep in mind that I'm not a huge historical romance reader. If you think this will grip me and keep me engaged and pull me into the story, then I will gladly give it a try, but I'm really not sure about this one. And then as for these 2, I really enjoy Liane Moriarty's work in the past. However, I have found that she writes a ton of longer books that have a lot of detail that I feel like is not really necessary in the tone of her writing. I think this is an interesting book because it's like a thriller. You're trying to figure out how we got to present day, but I just don't think that I am invested enough in the story to actually want to continue to read it. I think I might just maybe look up a Wikipedia page or spoilers or something to see what happened and how we got there, but I just don't think this is a book that I actually want to dedicate my time to. After thinking about it some more and reading some books that I was really, really captivated by, I think that I'm going to let this one go. And then the other one that I have here is The Long Road Home by Danielle Steele. I did read the full synopsis of this on Goodreads, and I think the synopsis of this put me off and intrigued me more as we continued. I know that this deals a lot with faith and a priest, because after this child goes through some abusive things in her childhood, she ends up going to a school, a Catholic school with nuns and priests, and that's not really my vibe. But then you flash forward more into her future as she's trying to reconcile her past and figure out how to cope with the things that have happened to her, and that is something that is really gripping for me. However, I just don't think that I want to read about this type of trauma. This is just a little bit too much for me, I think. And that's okay. I think that knowing my limits and knowing the things that I actually want to read is a good thing, and that's the whole point of this video. So I think this is going to be another one that I'm going to say goodbye to. I definitely want to read some more books that focus on domestic abuse. I know that sounds weird to like say out loud because I'm reading a book about child abuse, and I definitely want to read some more books that focus on that and coming out of that abusive relationship and figuring out how to move on through that. I would definitely want to read more books about that, but I think this is just a bit too dark for me. So these are now my no pile, my yes pile, and my let me know if I should read this. Maybe I'll keep it, maybe I won't. Please, 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 if you guys have read this in the comments, please let me know what you think, because I really want to know what to do with this one because I'm very confused. So that is good. I am keeping 3 so far out of the 6, maybe 2, but we'll see. So that is the end of this video. I know this was a bit different, not in front of my bookshelves, not my usual setup, but I hope that you guys like this video anyways. I appreciate you guys sticking to the end. If you made it to the end of this video, leave an orange emoji. Anything orange. I don't really know what orange emojis are out there, but I'm sure there's something. So leave me an orange emoji if you made it to the end. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And of course, leave any comments, questions, and suggestions in the comment section below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.